The video for February the 16th, 2017 is entitled, When Sleep Evades Me. It just turned midnight and sleep evades me once again. I've been working harder physically than normal, which I would think would make sleep easier. I guess not. After tossing and turning for well over an hour, maybe two, I get up and go to the computer. The melatonin isn't working. Of course, the human race has been asleep for millennia, and I do think many of us are waking up. I'd like to think this is indicative of the times. Yes, these are times of great change, in case you haven't noticed. Whilst some see calamity coming, I have to wonder where they've been. We've been living in calamitous times for generations. For me, I see a wonderful new world being birthed. I'm not sure I will see it manifest to the extent I'd like, but hopefully I will get to witness and perhaps participate in the transformation of human culture. Indeed, it's now morning, between 6:30 and 7 a.m. as I'm recording this. And I went to bed a little bit before 10 o'clock last night, before I finally actually got to bed, and I was again up at midnight. Actually before midnight, but I was up at midnight, and I sent out birthday greetings, etc., and wrote this blurb. And then I went back and tried to lay down and fall asleep, and it took me a little while, but I did probably get 4 hours or so of sleep, which I guess is not unusual for me. In any case, about waking up, the world, there's predictions that the world is going to get even worse than it already is. I read one article yesterday that said that the cabal's plan is to shut off the money supply completely, which of course would throw the world into tremendous disarray, especially the Western world, more so even than the places in the so-called third world countries where people already don't have very much money. But if all of a sudden the money was shut off in the Western world, it would be extremely calamitous. I mean, people wouldn't be able to buy or sell anything, and it has nothing to do with the mark of the beast. It would have to do with the people that have controlled the money to just simply turn off the spigot and not allow it to flow anymore. Now, that would be a devastation, to be sure. Will that happen or not? I'd like to believe, and I'd like to think, that the good forces are finally overcoming the evil forces and would prevent such a calamity from even occurring. Do I know that's going to happen? No. I still look for the revaluation of the currency. I look for those that have visions to bless the people of the planet to be able to have the ability to do so. And that in the bridge system, and by bridge system, I mean the bridge between the current system that seems to need money for everything to operate, and the realization and the awakening where we reach the point where we realize that money isn't necessary at all, where all we need is to have goodwill toward one another. And having goodwill toward each other, there would be no hoarding. There would be great blessings because we would share. Everyone would share what they have and be there to help others and to be helped when that's needed, so that there would be a give and take. And it would be a total transformation of human society, but it would have to become the result of an awakening and not staying asleep and not realizing what's going on. Now, there's a lot of people that practice the spirituality of denial. I have many of my friends are in that camp, that everything is about you don't You don't talk about the negative things because then the negative things only get worse. Well, the negative things have been ignored and unknown, and they're still unknown by a lot of people. I mean, I talked to a couple of ladies yesterday in my new place where I'm moving into. I'm not there yet, obviously. But they were totally unaware that 9/11 wasn't what they were told on the TV screen. I mean, they were flabbergasted when I said airplanes didn't bring down the buildings. They thought that was, they had never heard that before, that buildings don't come down by jet fuel, and some even suggest that airplanes don't fly through a reinforced building from one corner and come out the other corner on the other side, go in on one side and come out another side. That doesn't happen. A jet simply isn't strong enough to go through the steel girders that reinforce a tower like the Twin Towers. They've never thought this through because the mainstream media has, again, presented to us things that simply aren't true. And, Wikipedia and some of the main things where we get our resources still have lies insofar as who killed Kennedy and everything else. They don't investigate, and they don't want people to know the truth. They want people to remain asleep, because people that are sleeping, and I'm not talking now about laying down and closing your eyes and falling asleep. I'm talking about sleeping in regard to what's going on in the world. They want people to be asleep. They want them to be asleep because sleeping people are easier to control than non-sleeping people. But when we sleep, we have the ability to dream. And I'd like to think that some of the dreams that I've had of this new world that I've been envisioning since I was a little boy, I'd like to think that some of those dreams are what is actually coming true, that's being worked out, that knowledge will increase and the truth will be known. And of course, that will liberate. Truth ultimately pisses people off, as I've said, but it ultimately liberates us. And as we wake up to the realities of what's been going on in our world and know the truth about what's been being done and the truth about who we are and what our potential is, we will be moving at rapid speed toward fulfillment of our potential and fulfillment of the dreams that we inherently and innately had, many of us, all of our lives. And that's the time that I'm really, really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to participating in that world. Now, the move that I'm about to make, I'm hoping that I get to dialogue with a lot of people. I've never lived in a place where I've never lived outside of a house, really. Yeah, I guess I've lived in a couple of apartment buildings, but never a place like the high rise that I'm moving into, where neighbors are everywhere. And I guess the man who lives next door to me, he gave me his card and introduced himself, and he's actually a minister of a Spanish-speaking congregation. So it's going to be interesting seeing what happens as I make the transition from living here with my son and finally moving in again to a place of my own, and finally getting my clothes and other things unpacked from storage. There's a lot of cleaning to do, a lot of work to do yet, but I'm making the progress and moving in the direction that needs to be moved into in order to get my life back on track. And I'm hoping as that happens, I will be able again to make videos, more videos with Aristo and others, and get back into a more of a normalcy from what I used to be before they took my home, and restore some of the earlier things, and hopefully see a greater and greater awakening and more peace on earth, not more calamity, not more tribulation. Anyway, these are my thoughts at this early hour of the morning. And I appreciate those of you who listen, and trust you'll have a good day. Thank you. Namaste.